Good evening, everyone. I'm James Smart. Now, customers of the troubled Chase Bank are appealing for a speedy resolution of the crisis. KTN's news Abiagina recounts the tribulations of the customers whose lives have taken a drastic turn for the worse.
Tales of shock and anguish are still fresh in the minds of thousands of depositors who are affected following the move by the Central Bank of Kenya to place mid-tier lender Chase Bank under receivership. The bank, which had a promising future ahead of it, was deemed to have failed to meet its financial obligations, thus prompting the regulator to take action.
We do see the pain that people that do not have access to their resources will go through. There's no denying it. But in that sense, we still need, this is why you need a sort of an unbiased regulator who will look at the interest of all without fear or favor.
Banking system yetu iko imara, it is firm. Tutahakikisha ya kwamba wale wananchi ambao wameweka pesa zao katika hizo institutions watakuwa protected na pesa yao haitapotea.
No, it's bad. It's really bad. You know, it was like I was actually dreaming on that Wednesday. I was just feeling like, I hope I will wake up.
Meet Felix Kimaru, an entrepreneur who runs an IT company called Total Health, which offers mobile-based solutions to over 18,000 pregnant mothers. Kimaru is one of the 55,000 depositors that bank their hard-earned money with Chase Bank.
We feel punished. We feel like we are punished by the fact that we decided to deposit our money in a bank account, that we were sure that we have the central bank making sure that everything runs well within the bank. What is actually happening right now is majority of our suppliers are thinking that we're even lying, that we even had an account with Chase Bank. So it's really affecting us from many fronts.
Kimaru says he was yet to pay the salaries of his 8 employees.
I had actually signed checks for my employees as salary for March. And I remember when I came back, the reality was those checks will never clear. So I immediately told them, the thing is, I've written to you checks and no money, it won't clear. So we need to look for another alternative source of revenues. So you can imagine how it is. That's just, salaries is just one thing. In every day, there are expenses within the company that we have to run.
With nearly 6 million shillings locked up in Chase Bank, Kimaru says he has had to learn the hard way, even as he awaits recommendations of the receiver manager, the Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation, which is overseeing the bank's recapitalization process, expected to take on average 12 months.
We were told the other day that we can access 100,000, but I'm just thinking 100,000, what will it help me? How long will I use that money? It's really little. If you're talking about an individual, yes, 100,000 makes sense. You're talking about a company, 100,000 is nothing.
The degree of frustration among customers is quite telling of a financial sector in dire need of good corporate governance. So far, the Inspector General of Police, Joseph Boynet, has summoned Chase Bank's Chief Executive Officer, Duncan Kafoi, and the group chairman for questioning. No arrests have been made in connection with this incident, raising questions over the government's commitment to tackling mismanagement in both public and private entities.
Our objective is to open Chase Bank as soon as possible. That we have been very clear about, and that is what we intend to do. The way we are going about that, of course, is talking to the shareholders. And I can say that the conversations with shareholders are going on.
National Bank of Kenya CEO, who was suspended nearly 2 weeks ago, is also on the spot, as are other top managers. The financial impropriety at Chase Bank is the third case to emerge after Dubai Bank and Imperial Bank were also placed under receivership. Despite assurances that not all banks were vulnerable, Kenyans have become wary of banks following this pattern of events.
The big fear now among most customers is their money safe in the bank? What would you have to say about this?
At the end of the day, we still need to take our money back to the bank. It's up to the governor to make sure that we feel safe as the depositors, that our money is actually in safe hands, and at the end of the day, we are going to access our money.
Abiagina, KTN News.
Well, and shortly we will be speaking to the Vice President of the Losati of Kenya, Faith Waigwa. The LSK is a customer of the Chase Bank and is looking for legal ways to have their cash unfrozen from the bank. We'll find out more about that in just a little while. But first, we'll look at the developments over the African Union's relationship with the International Criminal Court. That is later. But on the big question we ask, do you support the central bank's move to streamline the banking sector? On the big question tonight, we're asking you if you support the central bank's move to streamline the banking sector. That is the question tonight. You can always tweet me at KTN Kenya, at KTN News, and at James Smart, and we'll be able to get your views during this live newscast or at the end of this live broadcast. Now, with only 16 months to the next general election, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission is bearing the heat from all political quarters and lately, even the church over its credibility. The question now is, what can the commission do to redeem its image?
Every party, it seems they are taking turns to beat us. When one gets tired, the other one takes over. And
remarks from none other than the IEBC chairman himself of just how leaders across the political divide have found a new punching bag on the referee, who is supposed to oversee a credible general election, which is only 16 months away. A state of affairs which analysts argue is unhealthy for democracy.
We have to see what we can do between now and the elections to mitigate the concerns or the issues or the loopholes that perhaps many have sounded out regarding the body itself, but also individual commissioners and officials.
It is in their own best interest to pack up and go.
We can go home and other commissioners can come in, other Kenyans can come in. So tuko tayari kwenda nyumbani kama ni kwenda nyumbani.
But with the calls for the disbandment of the IEBC hitting the electoral body left, right and center, political pundits are divided as to whether it's necessary to disband the IEBC, while some analysts argue that a majority of the IEBC critics have not placed workable solutions on the table regarding how a restructure of the IEBC should be conducted.
Perhaps have an amendment in the Constitution that prescribes doing away with the commissioners as they are right now. But also that amendment must come perhaps with a procedure on how to nominate the new commissioners.
If you don't respect institutions, no matter who you put in that institution, even if you bring a major, as long as you don't respect institutions, you will always differ with them.
And although the term of the current IEBC chair and all the commissioners expires on 9th November next year, 3 months after the August 8th general election, Hassan and his team have dismissed claims that there may be a constitutional crisis if the presidential poll ends in an election petition, arguing that the 3 months following the 2017 polls, during which they will be in office, are enough for the commission to conduct a runoff or even fresh polls in the event that the presidential election is nullified in court. Analysts argue that if any recruitment of new commissioners is to be done, then the process must be concluded early enough for smooth 2017 polls.
If the election will be another referee, another election management body or personalities who will manage the body and the elections must come in, then we have to make the decision early enough.
We are going to meet to agree to have IBC out, because this body is rotten. It can't help the people of Kenya.
Now, the damning complaints made against the IEBC, including a report that was before the Public Accounts Committee here in Parliament 3 weeks ago, may have dented the image of the electoral body. But with barely 16 months to the August 2017 polls, the IEBC insists that they are up to the task to deliver a credible general election. Muremi Mwangi, KTN News in Nairobi.
All right, now the push by the African Union to withdraw from the Rome Statute is far from over. While the AU will not engage the ICC on arrest warrants issued on the 3 Kenyan suspects, a ministerial committee meeting today in Addis Ababa has resolved that there is need for collective withdrawal from the Rome Statute of the ICC by the member state. Now, this includes certain conditions that are met, which include giving immunity to sitting heads of state and senior government officials. The ministerial committee wants giving priority to African Union, African judicial systems over the ICC, and reducing the powers of the prosecutor. That's the ministerial asking for these 3 powers and asking essentially that the 3 Kenyans who are being facing prosecution by the ICC be indeed, that cases be withdrawn without any further ado. And the ICC, the African Union, claiming that they in fact can withdraw en masse from the International Criminal Court, and that's the Rome Statute. Well, that story is building up, but now back home, in an effort to stem any possible terror attacks in institutions of higher learning, the government has announced that universities and their constituent colleges will now have to keep an electronic register of all students and their courses they are taking. The directive will see students' personal details captured in a biometric register to be maintained by respective learning institutions across the country. The directive comes in the wake of violence witnessed in the University of Nairobi and claims from the National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse, NACADA, that the campus is a haven for drug trafficking. The Ministry of Education has come to the defense of the university, with the university management promising to make public findings of an internal investigation.
What they are doing, we wish them well, and if and where they need us to make any contribution, we will do so. The rest of what will happen in detail, you'll be briefed by the chairperson of the governing council and the leaders of the university. We must respect the institutional order in which we all work with the university.
The closure was necessitated by the violence, and we are going to take it as an opportunity to look into certain issues.
All right, it is said to be popular in a section of Nakuru. It turns out, however, that the specific brand of yogurt is nothing close to the real yogurt. Here's Sharon Momanyi with a tale of the fake yogurt from Nakuru.
It is this particular bottle of yogurt that is sending waves of concern in Nakuru town. It goes by the market name Optimum and produced by Optimum Dairy Products. Public health officials warn that while it is in market shelves as a yogurt, the product allegedly contains no drop of milk in it. The health officials raided the production house of the product, revealing that its ingredients include corn flour, a product specially made for thickening soups, sauces and gravies, as well as henna, a product that is used for decorating nails mostly by women.
Mix corn flour and water, and thereafter they mix with stabilizers and some cultures, and then they mix the colors. And later on, they add some sugar, which they boil before they pack. They do the cooling and then packing.
A spot check in the town by our crew revealed that the product is highly consumed in the area, particularly by passengers on transit, as it is mostly distributed by hawkers. Traders attribute this popularity against other products to its relatively low price.
Pesa inaletwa na some people hapa wanatuzia na wholesale too.
Advising the public, those who are selling in their shelves or displaying, they remove it immediately.
5 suspects were arrested and arraigned at the Nakuru Law Courts Monday in relation to the case. They include the business owner Eusemia Osore and 4 employees, Myrin Richards, Kanuti Osore, John Ombongo and Luke Ochieng. The case is scheduled to be heard on the 27th of April. Sharon Momanyi, KTN News.
Well, that story does grow. Only a day after Nairobi Governor Evans Kidero issued a directive against public service vehicles access to the central business district, matatu operators have declared that they are not going anywhere. It was business as usual within the CBD, with no sign of the county government officials.
Hatuwezi kubali, hatukubali. Hiyo kazi tunaona kazi ni ngumu sana. Gari zinafaa zipange line. Imekuwa ngumu sana. Kazi ile kwanza leo imekuwa mbaya sana. Hiyo kitu hata abiria wanahangaika sana. Si vizuri hiyo kidogo.
Wanatuumiza bana. Hizi kama dereva na wale wetu wengine hata abiria wenyewe wanaumia. Kungoja gari kwa stage na ni gari tatu zinaumiza.
Atafute alternative nyingine lakini tao sisi hatutoki.
Getting out of town going where? You are moving us from town to where? Because you can't just tell people, you can't just sleep and wake up and tell people get out of town. So we are getting out of town going where? Kindly show us where we are going and we'll go. We have no problem with that.
All right, it's 9:15, and if you feel chased by a bank or the issues around the financial institutions in the country, you might want to stay with me. On the other side of the break, we'll have the Law Society Vice President Faith Waigwe to go about all these details. Don't go too far. You're watching Monday News.
Good evening. Thank you for keeping it KTN. Time for business. I'm Joy Doreen Bira. Innovation, oil and urbanization could be the blueprint that Kenya needs to enhance productivity and increase economic integration. Africa's Pulse, a newly released report by the World Bank, shows that cities can help countries accelerate growth and open the doors to global markets by creating productive environments that attract international investment,
which can increase the tax base thereby.
In 2015, Africa's major mineral-rich countries suffered low economic growth due to a fall in demand in world key markets such as China. While Kenya suffered its own set of domestic challenges like spate of insecurity, the economy grew to 5.4% in 2015 from 2014's 5.3%. Kenya's growth rate in 2016 is projected to be between 5.7 and 5.9%. A World Bank report dubbed Africa's Pulse shows Kenya as one of the promising emerging economies in sub-Saharan Africa and is expected to remain stable if investment is channeled to infrastructure and consumption of innovative services. Advancing road networks connecting to regional countries is set to open up investment for multinational companies in the country. And while oil presents opportunity for the Kenyan economy to grow, Kenya's benefits from crude oil production and refinery shall delay due to extreme vulnerability given tight financial conditions facing oil companies resulting from the 20-month drop in oil prices. Kenya, unlike its neighboring countries, has a window of opportunity to harness power of cities as economic engines for growth through urbanization to bring benefits that it should. Part of the urbanization is to ease the cost of doing business, upgrade its major cities and towns. Successful urbanization will also support Kenya's agricultural and rural transformation by effectively absorbing the labor by providing a market for agricultural produce. Joy Doreen Bira, KTN News.
Dairy farmers in Kenya are decrying the alleged neglect of the sector by the government that has seen farmers bear the burden of sustainability of the sector. While Kenya has earned its place on the African continent as a center of excellence in dairy production, farmers believe better incentives would boost dairy production more. KTN's Philip Kitanu tells us more on this week's edition of The Next Frontier.
The government invests a paltry 0.6% of its total budget in the livestock production, a percentage players in the sector are calling to be relooked at, an increase to satisfy the growing demand of dairy and other byproducts.
Contribution of livestock is massive to the economics.
Currently, Kenya's livestock sector is one of the largest and most developed in the sub-Saharan Africa, dominating exports of live animals, which include goats, camels and dairy breeding stocks to the regional markets and the Middle East.
We've realized many challenges along the value chain. One is the quality of the product that you get from the livestock, whether it's meat or milk. There are challenges in terms of just production because of diseases and things like that. There are challenges in terms of just feeding and pasture. Then we have a challenge in terms of breeds.
Because of this relatively advanced development, Kenya is touted as producing world-class high-quality dairy products. The total milk production is approximately 2.8 billion liters per annum, of which 1.3 billion liters representing 60% from grade dairy cattle and their crosses. Zebu cattle contribute 40% of the total cattle milk production, a sector dominated by small-scale producers who account for 80% of dairy output.
Kenya is a center of excellence for dairy. Yeah, we also are also good in some of the goat breeds.
We are trying to actually push our farmers to actually get into what we refer to as factory enterprises.
Kenya has an estimated population of 9.7 million beef cattle, from which beef and beef products are produced. Beef and its byproducts exported include chilled beef, in-bone and boneless steak, value-added beef, and pork products such as bacon, ham, and sausages.
Those apex organizations should have a grassroots network that goes to the village, because as a federation we see ourselves as a capacity to put the farmer in the village.
It is therefore important for government and other regional organizations to play a key role in setting up and executing policies for livestock development. This includes ensuring strong and predictable investment of livestock systems that are accompanied by adequate veterinary services, well-enforced regulations to limit the externalities associated with intensified production, and its payment for environmental services. Philip Keitan for the Next Frontier.
Well, let's now take a look at how the money markets have performed. The Kenyan shilling remains stable despite what is happening in the banking sector. Let's take a look at that.
The Financial Report, in association with Standard Chartered Mortgage, the mortgage that gives you more than just your dream. The Financial Report, in association with
All right, now time for your sports brief. Now, the national women football team, Harambee Starlets, are confident of a win when they play Algeria in African Cup of Nations return match on Tuesday. The match will be played at the Moi International Sports Stadium, Kasarani. Starlets get into the match with a 2-0 away goal advantage after their 2-2 draw in the first leg match in Algeria. A barren draw or a 1-1 draw will assure the Starlets a place in the 2016 Women African Cup of Nations set for December 7th, where 7 other teams will participate. Kenya will be buoyed by the home advantage as well as a strong desire to succeed despite countless challenges facing women football in the continent. The match will kick off at 3 p.m. All right, now the Kenya Premier League Youth Committee Chairman Moses Adagala has called on football stakeholders to curb age cheating in the upcoming KPL Under-20 tournament, which is scheduled to run from 17th to the 30th. Adagala's sentiment comes just days after Sudan accused Kenya of fielding overage players in the Under-20 African Cup of Nations qualifier in Khartoum.
Naweza kuomba vilabu wajue kwamba tutakuwa very strict on age. Tunataka kujenga vijana. Aim yetu kubwa sana as KPL ni kujenga vijana. So tunaomba vilabu zetu zote za 16 clubs za Kenya Premier League tukubaliane tujenge vijana, ili ikifika mwezi wa 6, ifike mwezi wa 12, tunaweza pata pale tunachagua vijana wale watasaidia vilabu zetu. Tunaona kama tumelegea sana kusaidia vijana. Ndio wakati huu mimi kama mwenyekiti na furaha sana because tumepata ile njia tunaweza kusaidia nayo vijana ili at least kifika World Cup 2022 tunaweza kuwa na pali tunaweza kuanza nayo.
Well, the name Noah Ayuko was a household name in the Kenyan soccer circles in the early 2000s. The dreadlocked custodian was famous for his no-nonsense approach between the post as well as theatrics. Victor Ogale caught up with Noah, who is a current goalkeeper trainer for Vihiga United, and filed the following report.
To many of these footballers, Noah Ayuko may just appear as an ordinary sportsman who helps them sharpen their skills. But to soccer enthusiasts of yesteryears, Noah Ayuko was once a household name, having played for national soccer team Harambee Stars as well as Karuturi Sports, Chemelil Sugar, and Osirian Fastac before hanging his boots at Kakamega Homeboys. Noah has vowed to spread his expertise to upcoming talent.
Wanaona kama mzaya anakuja tizi daily na anato train na tunajua penye alifika. Mimi wasanii guide naambiaga aje. Penye nilifika usifike hapo. Wewe penye nilifika wewe pita hapo. Ndio uko ulinishinda.
Juu hapo 2-3 alafu na daiksa hapa. Tazama.
Currently, he is the goalkeeper trainer of Vihiga United, where he has been after hanging his boots last season while at Kakamega Homeboys.
Lakini sasa nikataka kurinini, yani kujaribu kujiconsole juu nipandishe timu nyingine ligi. Ndio maana sikuwa timu ya Premier League. Nilikuwa na option ya kuwa timu ya Premier League lakini sikuenda. Na nikaanza kuja Homeboys na nikairudisha ligi. Nikarudisha ligi kwa first keeper. Nimeshika game mbili ndio nilikosa kwa game zote.
Noah, who also doubles up as a businessman in Kakamega town, feels that goalkeeping dynamics are currently changing as compared to when he began his career. Noah, who plans to begin an outreach program to tap upcoming soccer talent, remembers this particular match.
Ni game yetu na Zimbabwe. Ukawe ile watarigi aliumia na alinipatia mpaka boots nitumie ni zake. Yani na appreciate. Hata kijana mimi nakishikana na nasikia poa sana akicheza kwa goli hapo. Yani alipoumia nikakuwa called in na niliperform vile tuliongea naye wawili. Moja tulibonga naye wawili. Tulibonga naye niliperform kitu message alinipatia. Nilifulfill kitu aliniambia. Niambia buda mazejo usiconcede bao.
Victor Ogale, KTN News in the county of Vihiga.
No longer, because I bought Mortin Doom Power Guard, which kills 100% mosquitoes. Mortin Doom Power Guard kills 100% mosquitoes.
All right, and the big question we asked you, if you support the central bank's move to streamline the banking sector, that has been the question, and asked for your views on Twitter. Ms. Kangeda on Twitter says, yes, 100%. If it is not done now, it will only get worse. We need more Kenyans like the CBK governor, that's Njoroge. Stephen on Twitter says, for how long has these scandals in banking industry have been going on? The CBK governor, Patrick, has just opened tin of worms. I believe that should be a can of worms. That is the part of the comments that we're getting on Twitter, and thank you very much for your thoughts. Richard Moore here and the rest, I see your opinions, your thoughts, and I see your questions for the fair lady who's just left the studio. But that does it for us on KTN tonight, Monday Night News. My name is James Spark. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been William Silab. I leave you with the second offering of the Kanjo Kingdom done by John Alanamu on KTN News. Have a lovely night, everyone.